The second gauntlet I throw down was provoked by an indigestionous breakfast on the way down, when I read this morning the fury of the Australian newspaper lecturing us. I thought News Limited would have the good manners not to lecture us on matters of law and morality at the moment, at least to give it a few months for us to get over our horror and shock that they have been engaged in the United Kingdom and elsewhere in shocking behaviour. But anyway, dismay as Baylieu backs continued role for courts, but reform hope remains. And these are the words: most contentious, cause dismay, return to legal orthodoxy, struggle over the Charter, concerns about the Charter, risks of retaining a role for the court, vagueness of human rights, complicates the work of the court, distracts the courts, controversies requiring them to intrude on matters of policy and resources, restore the balance of power between the courts and Parliament. Parliamentary democracy is under grave threat to human rights. Fundamentally undemocratic, credibility of the government in tatters. And then there is an editorial overriding democratic rights. Did these people ever read the Charter? Did they ever read what it actually says? Did they ever understand that its purpose is to enliven democratic rights, to give judges in a society like ours an accessibility to citizens who are ignored by Parliament, who can't get the attention of Parliament, to come to independent decision makers, not to override the legislation, but to draw it to the notice of Parliament if it infringes the provisions of the Charter. I just don't think these people ever bother to read the letter of the law. So my second gauntlet to you: send a message to Mr. Baylieu, send a message to the government that you support the stand they take. When governments do good things, they should be supported. When they do bad things, they should be opposed and criticised. I think it's important at this moment, when there are so many powerful voices criticising the decision of the government, that something should be expressed that this is on the right track. Otherwise, if there's silence, the government will never know. And the third gauntlet I lay down is that you should discover yourselves. You should look into yourselves. You should not be ashamed of being idealistic. I was idealistic when I was a boy. I remained idealistic about the law when I was on the High Court of Australia, and I'm still idealistic about the law and its role and its function. I would not have wanted to be a member of a profession or of an activity that didn't have a moral compass, that wasn't concerned with the leeways for choice, that wasn't attending to the rights of the minorities and upholding universal rights. So I hope that you will discover yourselves, and that the reflections of today's discussions, which will be on 3 wonderful themes, will help you in that path. And don't forget to buy the book. Thank you.
Now we think we can bend the program to allow about 5 minutes for questions. So if anybody has a question, please raise your hand.
Yes. I'll just click this here for subliminal messages.
Michael, I'm very pleased to see that you have an interest in animal law, because this is an issue very close to my heart as well. My question is concerning the 2 progressive schools of thought with regard to how we can change the situation for animals. As far as I understand, the first one is that animal rights should be promoted, and ultimately they should be reclassified from property to some form of legal personhood. I mean, not quite what we have, because they don't need some of the rights that we have, but some form of legal personhood. I mean, it wouldn't be an absolute state. And the second school of thought is that we should promote animal welfare and ultimately change the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act and make it so that factory farmed animals have the protection of companion animals and those sorts of things. Which school of thought do you think is the most likely to succeed in promoting animal welfare?
The latter.
And why is that?
Because Australia is not in the mood for great leaps of legal theory. Australia might be in the mood, and indeed has shown that it might be in the mood, to address truly shocking instances of deprivation of basic dignity to animal species that are sentient. Now, I don't want to mislead anybody. I'm not a vegan, and I'm not a pure vegetarian. I do eat a little fish, but I don't eat any meat and don't eat any poultry. And that's since I launched a book. It's very dangerous launching books, and I launch hundreds of books. And I launched a book on animal welfare law about 3 years ago, and since that day, May 2009, I haven't eaten meat or poultry. And I think, and I'm on a journey on this, and I think many people are on a journey. A lot of people are following one of the UN suggestions of having a meat-free day. That would be a first step on a journey, to cut down on red meat. And it's better for you. I mean, did you see the evidence in the newspapers this week saying that eating meat has a propensity to cause carcinogens? So, but apart from that, cruelty, the type of thing we saw in the ABC Four Corners program, which has been going on forever. And if you reflect upon the cruelty to animals, including, let me say, again, by serial offenders, religious groups, who wanted to slit their throats and have them drain and gurgle to death in their own blood, that's another matter. New Zealand has dealt with that. And the European Union has quite detailed laws on animal welfare, which are far in advance of those in Australia. Some people poo-poo this. They say, well, what about the jobs? What about looking after the jobs? Well, Europe seems to survive. So my own feeling is, asking a big leap to say, well, animals are persons. We can't even get the law to take human beings as persons for the purpose of the law of standing in many cases. So I would suggest the solution will be stronger, more rigorous enforcement of animal welfare law and personal decisions by individuals. My partner Jan is not on this journey. He thinks it's ridiculous and that it's just my latest fad and that I'll get over it, but I won't. I feel better for not eating meat and poultry, and that's a personal decision. And I'm never allowed to speak about it before or at dinner. But it is a personal decision, but I think as a country we have to take some decisions, particularly in respect of live export of animals, that the fact that they stand there for 24 days or so under the excreta falling down on them from above before they're killed in the most merciless fashion. Any other question? One more question.
One more question, anyone?
I don't actually want to ask anything in particular about the lecture today, but I did want to add something onto the lady's comment. You said that you became a part vegetarian, and my question is, I'll just do a side back comment. My dad became a vegetarian about a year ago, and he got blood work done, and his cholesterol, his blood sugar level, and all his blood work came back remarkably better. Have you had the same thing done? Have you had any blood work done to see the difference in results?
Do you want to ask any other private? Is this the standards of privacy in the progressive law camp? Yes, of course I have regular checkups, and actually my blood showed that I had produced a result which is not uncommon for people who go over to vegetarianism or semi-vegetarianism, and that is their vitamin B level drops. And that's not a good thing, because then your blood cells get bigger, and that's not good for them rushing around you. So it's a simple solution. I just take a vitamin B supplement, in which my blood is level for vitamin B is back to normal. Hasn't really affected, I don't think it's affected other levels. Maybe that's because I'm still eating fish, I'm not sure. But I do think it's something we should all think about, and we should think about it for the animals, but we should also think about it for ourselves and our own dignity and respect as human beings in honouring other sentient creatures. They are not, as the Bible tells us, put on earth for our use. They are sentient, feeling creatures. If you look into the eyes of a horse or a cow, or you see something that feels pain and fear and rage and love. And if you understand how we corporatise the killing of chicken, and that most chicken that we eat at Kentucky Fried Chicken are living on very small A4 size paper. They can't turn around, they can't scratch themselves, they can't socialise. Poultry are very social animals and they can't move. Many of the cows from which we get the ham and the rashers of bacon and so on are unable to roll over and move, especially the sows, the female cows. They're just there to make more cows. So, more pigs. So I think we've all got to think about it. I'm not fanatic about it. I'm not sort of saying you must do this, but I do think it's something that I wish somebody had told me more about this, got me thinking about it before I read that book for the purpose of launching it. And there are many other good thoughts in this book.